Welcome to Rider Fish. I decided today to get my Subaru Impreza up and running. The Texas heat definitely didn't do it any favors. If you've seen any of my previous videos, the car wasn't up and running. I finally got it up and running and pretty much just sat around for a good 4 years, just sitting there, because I got the Tacoma, and I just never got around to getting it looking nice. As you can see from the previous pictures, the car had another wrap on there. It was a color shifting pearl. It shifted from purple to blue to teal. It was a pretty good looking car. A lot of people liked it. It definitely attracted a lot of attention. If I had a choice, I probably would have wrapped it in that color again, but since this car lives outside, it just wasn't a good idea to wrap it again in that color, just because it didn't last very long before the pearls started melting away and burning, especially in the Texas heat. I guess I could keep the car covered all the time, but the car covers get expensive too, and again, in the Texas heat, those car covers don't last very long. So really, the first challenge was getting the old wrap off. Unfortunately, I waited too long to pull off the wrap, and as you can see, the bottom half was easy to pull off because it didn't have too much time in the direct sunlight, but the top half spent a lot more time in direct sunlight, and it cracked a lot. It was a lot harder to get off. On the passenger side, it spent a lot more time in the direct sunlight, and it actually cracked and ate away at the clear coat because it just sat for so long. I ended up having to use a razor blade to scrape off the old vinyl, which in turn it actually didn't damage the paint as much as I thought it would, for the fact that I was using a razor blade to scrape it off. But then again, the paint was already messed up just from the vinyl. But as you can see here, you can see me sanding away all the damaged clear coat. Actually peeled off a little bit of vinyl a while back when I first parked the car, and some of the adhesive that was left behind ended up eating away at the clear coat. So just a recommendation: if you ever remove vinyl off your car, pull it off before it gets damaged by the sun, and once you do pull it off, make sure you get off that adhesive. Even if it doesn't look like there's adhesive there's some adhesive residue. So you gotta go in there and do a little bit of buffing to get it out. So here you can see me removing a lot of the adhesive that got stuck on the paint that I couldn't remove when I pulled off the wrap. I was using a rubber eraser wheel. Worked out pretty good, It actually worked out better at low speeds than it did at high speeds. At high speeds, it was just too fast, and it ended up just kind of messing up the drill, or putting more wear on the drill than it needed to. It worked just as well on low speed, just for removing the adhesive. It'll also work for removing the vinyl itself. But you have to go at a higher speed, and it definitely burns off the wheel a lot quicker. If your paint's already damaged, you can just do what I did, was scrape it off. If your paint's not damaged and you're trying to conserve it, I guess you can use that rubber wheel. You'll blow through a lot of rubber wheels. The best thing is just to make sure to remove that vinyl before it goes bad. So after getting everything resurfaced and primered, I decided that I wanted to go with white. I've never had a white car before, and I figured why not just wrap this car in white. Here you can see me wrapping the bumper. It's been a while since I've wrapped a car, especially a difficult car like normally the front bumper is pretty difficult to wrap. I made a mistake. I didn't stretch the vinyl enough, so that way when I wrapped the bumper, it was a lot harder than it needed to be. And also later in the video, you'll see I had a lot of difficulty with it because I forgot that the shape of the bumper it makes the vinyl crinkle at the bottom more, and I ended up just cutting it because the bumper wasn't coming out as well as I thought it would. And to be honest with you, I really didn't feel like rewrapping the bumper again or wasting any more vinyl on it. So I just forced it on, got it to work. Eventually I'll probably rewrap it, but for now I just went ahead and just got it on because I just wanted to get it done. By now, you probably noticed that the driver and passenger side doors are a different color from the rest of the car. This car actually got sideswiped a while back. Some person was making well, it was more like this person was trying to go straight on the left turn only lane, and unfortunately, it was a double turn lane, and they decided to go straight and sideswipe my car. It's also why I wrapped my car in the color shifting Pro vinyl. I just wanted something different. I didn't never really like red cars. I only got this car red just because it was the only car they had available in manual, and I just didn't like automatics, and I wanted a manual, and this is the only manual they had, so I got a red manual car. Now, another reason why I ended up going with white too is because I actually originally wanted Pro White Subaru, but you know, like I said, they didn't have any Pro White Subarus in manual, and to be honest with you, the manual transmission was more important to me than the color of the car. So that's why I decided to just go with the red car. And besides, it wasn't too bad of a red. It wasn't some bright red. You know, it was like I think they call it paprika red, which is kind of a darker, almost like a maroon red than anything. Which still kind of worked out. It wasn't a crazy bright thing. I ended up messing up here. Somehow I measured it short. Um, so, you know, I ended up having to use the front door piece for a rear door. Um, the rear door handle is kind of a pain in the butt to take apart, but overall, the wrap was coming out okay. The white was staining a lot easier than I thought it would. It probably didn't help that this wrap is textured in carbon fiber. I thought just plain white or just plain pearl white would have been too boring. So I decided just to go to a little carbon fiber wrap. It just seems like it's not something people always do, doing a full carbon fiber wrap. Most people just go for a plain, you know, pearl white or, you know, or just some plain flat color when they wrap their cars. I decided to just go full textured carbon fiber wrap. Some people do some crazy patterns, which is cool. I mean, I'm not really a crazy pattern guy. You know, the craziest thing I did with my car was my color shifting pearl, which, you know, I really liked. It definitely drew a lot of attention, but you know, I decided to just go for a simpler color, see how I liked it. Maybe one day I'll repaint my Subaru white. I just don't see myself selling this car anytime soon. It's definitely a good car, and for the most part, it's been pretty reliable, other than little knick-knack issues. As you can see here on the side views, I decided just to go full flat black on them. I had it wrapped in just a color before, like where the red was, and it just looked like too much. So I decided to just to paint them black. Before I had it wrapped in black carbon fiber, but to be honest with you, I didn't want to do it again because it was just too much carbon fiber. So I decided to just paint it flat black and keep it simple. So here's a little tip when you're wrapping anywhere near a windowsill. Normally you can get two flat pieces like a credit card, or if you have wrapping tools, you can just tuck it under the seal just by stacking the two flat pieces together and pushing the bottom pieces to push the vinyl and the top pieces to lift up the seal, and you can just kind of push it through. Here you can see me wrapping the back hatch in two pieces. This was mainly because I ran out of vinyl. When I estimated it, I misestimated the amount of wrap I would need. I didn't want to waste any vinyl, and I didn't really care too much, so I just made the back two pieces. So here you can see me cutting out the sides. The sides are a little bit more complicated. Before I cut out the top and bottom piece as a one piece, I decided to just only do the top and the back part. As you can see here, I didn't include the bottom piece as one entire piece like I did with the color shifting pearl. I mainly did this just to make it easier on myself, and mainly because I figured since I have the fender flares, you wouldn't even notice the break when I do it in two pieces. So I decided just to make it easier on myself and just use the fender flare to hide the split between the two pieces, the top and the bottom. So here I didn't measure it properly again, and I came up like a few inches short coming up to the top pillar. If I wasn't being lazy, I could have just put it up little by little and just started stretching it. The good thing about vinyl is you can stretch it, and in this case I really should have stretched it to make up the few inches at the end. Just stretch it a little bit throughout the whole top piece, but I just didn't feel like doing it, and so I decided just to add a little piece at the end. It's somewhat noticeable if you're standing up there, but if you're standing a couple of feet away, you really don't notice it. And to be honest, I just didn't kind of care anymore because I didn't really like the way the wrap looked on the car. I mean, I like the color, but the wrap that I bought, I guess it wasn't as thick, and it was staining easily. I guess because of the texture, it was picking up stains, and it wasn't wiping away as easily as if it was just a untextured, flat, pearl white or whatever color I chose. I guess if there's like little textures and ridges, it was just holding on to the stains, and it was kind of annoying actually. But at this point I was just like, I already did it, so I just want to hurry up and get it done. and that way it'll just look good for a little while. And when I do decide to paint the car, I'll probably paint it. Choose what color I want to paint it out. Most likely, if I paint the car, it'll be the same red. I doubt I'll paint it a different color, but maybe I will. It just depends on how lazy I am. So on the passenger side, I knew it was going to be short because, you know, I cut it to the same length as the driver's side. But this time, since I knew it was going to be short, I stretched the top piece, basically the top pillar. So I stretched it little by little throughout the whole piece instead of just trying to stretch it at the end. What this ends up doing is it gives me a lot more vinyl to play with when I get towards the end. And it ended up working out well. You know, this is what I really should have did with the driver's side, but since I already stuck it down and, you know, I was feeling a little lazy, I just didn't do it. But you know, I learned from my mistake from the driver's side, and you know, make sure I stretched it on the passenger side. And you know, you can see here I did the bottom piece separately, and since I have the fender flare on there, you don't really notice the split between the two. So it just made it a lot easier to do it like this. Normally doing it in one piece, it's a lot more work. You also waste a lot more vinyl doing it, and I was trying not to waste too much vinyl and use as much as the vinyl as I could to save some money. So you see here, you see me using a razor blade to remove the old vinyl off the rear bumper. This method worked pretty good. You know, it didn't dig into the bumper as much as I thought it would. And then, you know, instead of sitting there trying to get off that old adhesive, what I ended up doing was I noticed that like I was able to scrape off the clear. So that's what I started doing. I just started scraping off the clear, and it worked out pretty well. The rear bumper came out a lot better. You know, I pre-stretched it more. I learned from the front bumper mistake, and you know, I was able to correct it on the rear bumper when I started doing it. But unfortunately, I accidentally tore the vinyl, and you can see right there, the tear kind of messed it up a little bit. It's important that you keep that vinyl warm. You know, that day it was kind of cool, so you know, I kind of underestimated how easy it would be to rip this vinyl, and end up tearing. And I really didn't want to bring out a whole new piece just for that tear, and so I just kind of worked with it. But overall, the rear bumper went on a lot smoother, worked out a lot better than the front bumper. And again, you know, and this is just because I pre-stretched it more before I got to the curves, and this just allowed the vinyl to wrap around the bumper a lot easier and a lot better. I decided not to replace the black vinyl on the car. I just keep the original one just because it didn't look all that bad. Eventually I plan on repainting the car anyway, so I didn't want to waste the money on it. Overall, the white vinyl came out pretty good. I like it. The bottom actually ended up messing up because I went off running with it and I messed it up. But overall, it came out pretty good, and hope you enjoyed watching this video. And thanks for watching, and I hope y'all come back and watch some more videos. Until next time.